This is Qtv News. I am Marietu Sidibe and thanks for joining us. Now, the main local, international and sports news headlines. A day after President Barrow relieved 2 ministers of their posts, he has announced 2 appointments today. Following Parliament's rejection of the draft constitution bill, the chairman of the CRC calls a press conference to explain what could happen next. The Gambia Armed Forces announces a spate of promotions. The tourism minister announces a bailout package for some of those working in the tourism sector. In international news, today Nigeria celebrates 60 years of independence from Britain. One of the suspects wanted for involvement in the genocide in Rwanda loses his appeal against extradition to face trial. And in sports, the draw has been made for this season's UEFA Champions League, and we find out how some Gambian footballers are faring abroad. Now, the local news in detail. As the cabinet shakeup continues, the president today announced 2 new appointments. More in this short report.
On the day following the announcement of Bakari Baji's appointment as the Minister of Youth and Sports, it is announced that President Barrow has made 2 further ministerial appointments. He has appointed Mr. Bakari Jammeh, until now the Governor of the Central Bank, as the Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment. His Excellency the President has also appointed Mr. Boa Seydi, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, as the Governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia. Both appointments and that of Bakari Baji take effect from 1st October 2020. Ajibintu Dwame, QTV News.
Following Parliament's rejection of the draft constitution bill, the chairman of the CRC tells journalists at a press conference that the draft constitution is a true reflection of the wishes and aspiration of the Gambian population, which still has the potential to create a strong democracy for the Gambia.
The reviewing and drafting of a constitution for Gambia's future is over, and a draft constitution bill was killed at parliamentary level. A long journey towards a third republic with a new constitution was therefore cut short. For the CRC chairman, their result is a true reflection of what Gambians, through a historically wide consultation, wanted their new constitution to be, and that the product of their work is still alive.
So let's not despair. The draft constitution that Gambians worked so hard on, expending invaluable time, energy and resources, is not dead. It has merely hit a snag and is placed in cold storage, at least for now. So if anyone here today feels depressed, I say to you, lighten up, get up, and dust off. Have faith and continue the quest for constitutional reform in the Gambia.
The CRC chairman gives us a detailed account of the CRC's activities within and outside the Gambia during the constitutional review and drafting process, including the series of consultations with Gambians, the 3 arms of government and civil society organizations. While some praise the work of the CRC, others have been critical of some provision of its draft constitution. The chairman's reaction is that their aim was not to make a constitution that was perfect for all.
Even if the draft constitution were to be amended today, it could not be described as a perfect document. As far as the CRC is concerned, the draft constitution, with all its perceived shortcomings, represented the sovereign will of the people of the Gambia.
On the rejection of the draft bill, Justice Cherno Suleiman Jallow did not want to question what he calls parliamentary wisdom. It is obvious to the CRC chairman that during their debate in Parliament, NAMS had expressed the need for clarifications on some provisions, but did not wait to get any from the CRC, which by law could have happened at the committee stage if the bill had passed the second reading.
We at the CRC do not seek to question parliamentary wisdom regarding the fate of the draft constitution. That is a political process from which we will stay away. It is therefore not necessarily my intention here today to get into the debate of what is or what is not or what could have been.
After handing in the draft constitution to Gambians, The CRC were alleged by some to have made their work easier by plagiarizing and also promoting gay marriage in the draft constitution. Although the chairman refuses to be drawn into debates on what should, could, or had to be done in drafting our new constitution, for their own integrity, he did not mind throwing light on the issues relating to plagiarism and the alleged promotion of gay marriage.
We see a lot of harmonization of laws in the European Union, Caribbean community, and Eastern Caribbean states. Countries are moving closer to each other and learning from each other. Let's not be left behind in that journey for the sake of sensationalism. The truth and fact is that Section 54 of the draft Constitution cannot by any stretch of legal interpretation be interpreted as permitting gay marriage. The irony, though, is that with the draft Constitution now halted on its tracks, we are stuck with Section 27 of the 1997 Constitution. I don't think I need to say anything further than that.
The CRC will continue to be in office until the 22nd of October, when it will be dissolved. As of yesterday, it had spent more than $123 million and will be handing back to the National Treasury at least $10 million. What is left is now what plans, if any, government has to fulfill its promise of constitutional reforms. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
The Minister of Tourism and Culture has announced that those in the tourism and culture sectors will benefit from a $1 million bailout package from the Gambia government to minimize the impact of COVID-19. Jane Basonko reports.
Tourism is a huge global business, accounting for 10.4% of global gross domestic product and 10% of global employment. It is the sector most affected by coronavirus because it involves traveling and gatherings which have become impossible due to restrictions imposed by individual countries. In normal times, the beneficiaries would include craft market vendors, tourist taxi drivers, juice sellers, bat watchers, tourist guides, hotels, restaurants, and several others.
So what we did as a ministry, we hired the consult, not hire, we sought for the advice of an independent person who have nothing to do with anybody. I said, give us a guide. How do you think we should distribute this money to everybody? He gave us a draft. I looked at it with my team, revisited it again, and then consulted our directors. When we presented it, everybody said it was the best. Because we didn't have an interest. We didn't want to be involved in it. We wanted an independent opinion to tell us. Free service. We paid him nothing. And then we wrote it down, sent it to finance.
The Gambian government has spent about $60 million on using hotels as quarantine centers, which has also helped hotels in terms of sustainability. The minister revealed that due to the current situation, banks have agreed to give those in the tourism sector some more time on the payment of their loans. Minister Ba says he cannot give a definite number of tour operators that will come in October when the tourist season opens due to uncertainties as a result of the pandemic. He says that is the reason why the government is working on promoting domestic and regional tourism.
The government is taking new measures to promote regional domestic tourism. The number of tourists from leaving Nigeria going outside cannot fit in the whole of West Africa if they are spread around. But we are not tapping that market. And they pay more than what your international arrivals are paying. And that's why we're going to set up office in Nigeria. The Director General is in the picture, and the Director of Marketing is aware of that. We are already working on plans how to make sure that we capture Nigeria, Ghanaian, Senegalese market to make sure that our tourism, binded with culture, together, we have people to come and fill our hotels.
Plans to open the tourist season next month have not been welcomed by some who want to know what measures the ministry has in place to ensure safety. In addition to which, the travel advisory for Gambia is orange, meaning a country where holidaying is not advisable. Minister Ba says this narrative can be changed with mass testing to get more negative results.
If you have a certificate, CRC certificate, PRC certificate, you of less than 72 hours, you are free to come to this country. You are free to come to the Gambia without being under any, quarantine, whatever, because that shows that you have the certificate. But if you don't come with a certificate, of course you'll be quarantined. Let me clarify that. The reason why WHO had to, because they also have to decide not what we want, but what they feel that should happen. But I also want to help you on that. No aircraft, no airline rather, will board anybody without a certificate. So we are safe on that.
Minister Ba advised business owners to register their businesses to be able to benefit from opportunities with the industry. According to Gaipa, tourism is undoubtedly the fastest growing sector in the Gambian economy. It is also the biggest foreign exchange earner and a major source of employment and accounts for about 16% of the country's gross domestic product. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jennifer Songo.
We will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, the news continues with some more local news stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. International Day for Older Persons is observed on October 1st each year, designated by the UN General Assembly in 1990. The day focuses on the well-being of the elderly, especially during this pandemic. More in this report.
Today marks the 30th anniversary of the International Day of Older Persons since it was designated by the UN General Assembly. Considering the high risk confronted by older persons during the outbreak of pandemics such as COVID-19, action must be taken towards raising awareness of their special needs. The National Human Rights Commission calls on the Gambia government to ratify and domesticate the protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the rights of older persons in Africa, which has been adopted by the African Union since January 31, 2016. Ajajarai Danso, an elderly woman, outlined the importance of the day, stating that she remembered the day being celebrated years ago.
I am grateful to Allah for witnessing the International Day of Older Person. Being an elderly is not easy because we faced a lot of challenges, and now we have the pandemic. Everything stops working for us. I am always indoors because I am scared of the virus. But I protect myself and my family by washing my hands and putting on my face mask.
In 2002, the Second World Assembly on Aging adopted the Madrid International Plan of Action on Aging to respond to the opportunities and challenges of population aging in the 21st century and to promote the development of a society for all ages. Jeneba Dibasi, also an elderly woman, has this to say.
Alhamdulillah Rabbi Alamina tanto binda mulsoy atu ngabije malo kombe bije labari alhamdulillah ngabije.
I thank God for this day. It is an honor to witness the day in good health, but it is not easy with us, the elderly, especially this time of the pandemic. I am always indoors because I am told the virus weakens the old.
The WHO says the 2020 observance will also promote the Decade of Healthy Aging 2020 to 2030 and help bring together UN experts, civil society, government and the health professionals to discuss the 5 strategic objectives of the global strategy and action plan on aging and health, while noting the progress and the challenges in their realization. Haja Nyato Silla added her voice to pray for young people to live long and grow old one day. Since the onset of the pandemic, the United Nations has given priority to the needs of older persons in its collective preparedness and response action at global, regional, and country level. In these unprecedented times, loneliness and mental health issues of the elderly people need special attention. Older persons are an integral part of the society. They are a repository of history and wisdom and the gatekeepers of our value system. They make major contributions to society, particularly rural women who play an important role in the social fabric of communities. However, given the current status of older persons, the NRCR statement this year expresses deep concern over the lack of social protection for them and urges the Gambia government to act now. Babukar Sise, Qtv News.
A reminder that in a press release issued yesterday, the Ministry of Finance has announced that from today, 1st October, consumers can expect to pay the following for fuel. Petrol will now sell at $43.76, a reduction of 29 bututs. Diesel will sell at $41.70, a reduction of $2.35, and kerosene will now sell at $31.53 bututs, a reduction of $1.86 bututs. We will take another short break and we continue with international and sports news when we return. Welcome back. In international news, Nigeria today celebrates its 60th independence anniversary. In this report, QTV's Ansumana Esonyasi takes a look at the country's history since independence.
Africa's most populous country with over 200 million people and the world's third most multilingual country with over 700 tribes and over 500 languages. Nigeria today celebrates her 60th anniversary, having gained independence from British rule. On October 1st, 1960, just after midnight in Lagos, the country's flag was officially hoisted for the first time and a new constitution came into force. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa became the country's new prime minister and Nigeria became a republic 3 years later with Nnamdi Azikiwe assuming the role of president. However, Balewa was assassinated in a coup on 15 January 1966 and Nigeria first plunged into inter-ethnic bloodshed over Balewa's death and then into the 3-year civil war, also known as the Biafra War, which occurred between July 6, 1967 and January 15, 1970, claiming more than 1 million lives. The discovery of large oil reserves in 1956 brought hopes of wealth and fortune to many, but those hopes were dashed following what many describe as the period of uncertainty, with 30 years of coups and military dictatorships. Nigeria has had 15 heads of state since independence, and the country has become a continental cultural powerhouse, boasting the world's second most productive film industry and a globally celebrated music scene. However, in 2018, Nigeria registered its highest rate of extreme poverty globally, according to the World Poverty Clock, created by the Vienna-based Charity World Data Lab. And the country's Attorney General reportedly estimated that corrupt officials in cahoots with multinational firms have looted $400 billion over the years. Successive governments promised to crack down on corruption, but there have been few significant successes. In Transparency International's latest Corruption Perception Index, Nigeria fell to 146 out of 180, its lowest ever ranking, and armed Islamic groups in the northeast have killed more than 36,000 people in the past 10 years, forcing an estimated 2.4 million people to flee from their homes. They threw a further unwelcome light on the country when in April 2014, 276 mostly Christian girls were kidnapped from a school in Borno State, just over half of the girls have been freed or rescued. This year's celebrations is held under the official slogan, Together at 60. In a statement broadcast live on several TV and radio stations, President Buhari urged Nigerians to unite for the greater good, even though events are low-key because of COVID-19, as opposed to previous years when it was characterized with military parades and fireworks. We wish them a happy 60th. Ansumana Esonyasi for Qtv News.
A high-level Rwandan genocide suspect, Felicien Kabuga, can be handed over to the United Nations Tribunal for trial, a top French court ruled on Wednesday. This story by Mariama Fall is narrated by Babukar C.
Felicien Kabuga, a former businessman, is suspected of financing and playing a major role in the 1994 Rwanda genocide, in which hundreds of thousands of Rwandan Tutsis were murdered during a Hutu uprising. Prosecutors allege 84-year-old Kabuga had escaped facing a court for 25 years due to his numerous connections and wealth until he was caught outside Paris 5 months ago. At the time of his arrest, he had a $5 million bounty on his head. He lived in different countries, including Kenya, where he and his family have business interests. Police say this time he used 28 aliases to evade capture. Following his latest judgment, he will now stand trial at the Mechanism for International Criminal Tribunals based in Arusha, Tanzania. The International Criminal Tribunals took charge of prosecuting Rwandan genocide suspects after the UN's International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda formally closed in 2015. On April 6, 1994, what is one of the worst civil wars in African history took place in Rwanda. In 100 days, an estimated 800,000 people lost their lives in a mass murdering spree. Among the allegations put forward by prosecutors is that Kabuga founded and backed a radio station named RTLM, blamed for igniting and inciting the genocide. His lawyers argued that he should not be extradited due to his frail health. Babukar C, Qtv News.
And in sports, UEFA's Champions League draw took place today and has thrown up some intriguing ties. More in this report.
Among the ties that have set pulses raising, champions Bayern Munich face Atletico Madrid, Red Bull Salzburg, Lokomotiv Moscow in Group A. However, the one that has got everyone talking is Group G. Even though he has left Spain for Italy, it seems Cristiano Ronaldo will still be linked with Lionel Messi. Ronaldo's Juventus have been drawn alongside Messi's Barcelona in the same group. Other interesting matchup sees England's champions Liverpool draw in the same group as Dutch champions Ajax, Italy's Atalanta and Michelin from Norway. Record Champions League winners Real Madrid are to face Shakhtar Donetsk, Inter Milan and Borussia Mönchengladbach. Manchester United, who have started their season in poor form, are in the same group as French champions Paris Saint-Germain. Germany's RB Leipzig and Turkey's Istanbul Başakşehir. Manchester City will face Porto, Olympiacos and Marseille, while Chelsea will face Sevilla, Krasnodar and Rennes. The full groupings is as follows. In Group A, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, Red Bull Salzburg, Lokomotiv Moscow. Group B, Real Madrid, Shakhtar Donetsk, Inter Milan, Borussia Mönchengladbach. Group C, Porto, Manchester City, Olympiacos and Marseille. Group D, Liverpool, Ajax, Atalanta, Michelin. Group E, Sevilla, Chelsea, Krasnodar, Rennes. Group F, Zenit St. Petersburg, Borussia Dortmund, Lazio, Club Brugge. Group G, Juventus, Barcelona, Dynamo Kiev, Ferencváros. Group H, Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United, RB Leipzig, Istanbul Başakşehir. Babukar C, Qtv News.
Scorpions winger Lamin Jallo has moved to another team in Serie B in Italy, while uncapped striker Alassane Jatta has withdrawn from the Scorpions training camp for AFCON friendlies in Portugal in October 2020.
Scorpions winger Lamin Jallo alias Beck has moved from Salernitana to Vicenza, another club in Serie B. Elsewhere, former Real de Banjul striker Alassane Jatta of Denmark's Viborg FF has withdrawn from the Scorpions training camp in Portugal due to injury. In another development, Senegal international goalkeeper Alfred Gomes has completed his transfer from Dijon to fellow French club Stade Rennais to replace Edouard Mendy, who moved to Chelsea. Gomes, who started his career at Torino's academy in Italy, has penned a 5-year contract with the Red and Blacks. The 27-year-old told the club officials that he is pleased to join Stade Rennais and spoke of the conversation he had with Mendy. "It gives me a great pleasure to join Stade Rennais FC. It is a club that I already knew before joining Dijon," Gomes said. "Every year there are new ambitions. Now we still have to work to improve ourselves. Edward told me there's a great locker room. We work hard during the 2 weeks and had a lot of fun on the weekends. Gomez added, I can't wait to meet my teammates and fans. Alfred Gomez was called up by coach Aliou Cissé to the Senegal national football team, making his international debut with the Lions of Teranga on 14th November 2017 in a 2-1 victory against South Africa in the last qualifying match of the 2018 FIFA World Cup, and was with the squad for 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. Gomez played the final of the AFCON against Algeria, with the Lions of Teranga lost by a single goal, scored in the second minute of the game. To date, Gomez has 9 caps for the Lions of Teranga. Babu Karsi, Qtv News.
Before we end this bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. A day after President Barrow relieved 2 ministers of their posts, he has announced 2 new appointments today. Following Parliament's rejection of the draft constitution bill, the chairman of the CRC called a press conference to explain what could happen next. The Gambia Armed Forces has announced a spate of promotions. The tourism minister has announced a bailout package for some of those working in the tourism sector. In international news, today Nigeria celebrates 60 years of independence from Britain. One of the suspects still wanted for involvement in the genocide in Rwanda has lost his appeal against extradition to face trial. And in sports, the draw has been made for this season's UEFA Champions League. And we found out how some Gambian footballers are faring abroad. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Join us at 10 for another bulletin. Thank you for watching.